Finance is a religious duty for Muslims, and conventional mechanisms such as mortgages are not available to them. Finance conforming to Sharia has required specific Islamic financial instruments. One such instrument is Ijara. Three main principles shape Islamic financial instruments. First, Muslims are banned from taking or giving interest. Secondly, financial transactions must turn on real, valid economic activity, such as trading goods and services, not simply monetary exchanges. Third, because of gambling prohibitions, financial products and economic transactions carrying high levels of risk or uncertainty are not permitted. Ijara is an Arabic word meaning to give something on rent. It is a contract where one party has a right of usufruct of an asset owned by another for an agreed rent and time period. At a base level, it occurs as follows. It operates on a rental-based structure where parties form the relationship of a lessor and a lessee. Here, the bank purchases property from a third party based on the preference of the customer. The bank rents the property to the customer. Periodic payments are paid by the customer for a predetermined amount in time. This can be variable, but must be agreed at time of contract. Upon completion of rental periods and payments, the property will return to the bank as they are still the owners. If the customer wishes to own the property at the end, a separate unrelated contract is required. Now we know how Ijara works, it is easier to see what makes Ijara halal whilst avoiding the three prohibitions outlined earlier. Ijara contracts are formed outside the ambit of any interest-bearing mechanisms. The property itself forms the basis of the transaction, and it is not just money for money being exchanged. And lastly, risk is shared between lenders and customers, and the contract is drafted in certain terms. The major difference between Ijara and conventional financing instruments is for Ijara, ownership remains with the transferor and only rights of use transfer. Throughout, the banks bear a risk of ownership for reductions in value or harm caused beyond the control of customers. When property is not usable, customers are not charged rent. However, customers are still liable for losses due to negligence or breaches of contract.